In today's video we're gonna have a look at the Chaga Mushroom or Inonotus Obliquus. And no, it's not a spell from Harry Potter, even though this mushroom is verging on magic. The property list is long and the potential health benefits are very promising. From anti and prebiotic through anti-diabetic and immunomodulating to cancer repressive, making this mushroom one of the most vital medicinal fungi known so far. And if you want to know more about this piece of magic, let me borrow your precious time. Let's get freaky about it. Due to the exceptional composition of nutrients and the potential health benefits, the chaga mushroom is often called the king of mushrooms. The chaga contains relevant amounts of potassium and calcium, as well as a variety of B vitamins, vitamin D2, A and K. But what makes this mushroom special is the high amount of polysaccharides and antioxidants, particularly melanin and other polyphenols, as well as triterpenoids. A recent study from 2021 found that chaga has by far the highest antioxidative capacity compared to other very popular vital fungi like lion's mane, shiitake, turkey tail, or even the mushroom of immortality, reishi. With 200,000 micromole per 100 grams Trolox equivalents, it has a similar antioxidative capacity like oregano, according to the USDA database from 2010. Just cinnamon and cloves have a higher value. That being said, a higher value must not directly imply a stronger antioxidative effect. The metabolic pathways are still not completely understood, and foods are complex with several bioactive compounds which act as a whole. There is still some research to do. Antioxidants are known to decrease oxidative stress and appear to play an important role in the prevention of aging and diseases, limiting or diminishing cellular, tissue and nervous system damage, with potential therapeutic applications in neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, and oxidative stress-related diseases like atherosclerosis, cancer, cardiovascular diseases, inflammation and diabetes. The study I was talking about earlier showed two more interesting things about antioxidants. Firstly, that aqueous, that means water-based extracts, are able to preserve far more antioxidants and phenolic content than alcoholic extracts. And secondly, the study found that the antioxidative capacity of the extracts degrades after a certain amount of time. Within 1 month, stored at room temperature and at 4 degrees Celsius, the capacity stays stable, but after 4 months the antioxidative capacity decreases by about 50%. Only freezing the extracts at -20 degrees Celsius will be able to preserve a higher amount. Accordingly, as a general rule of thumb, if you want to draw the greatest benefit out of antioxidants, best to go with a water-based extract like a tea and consume it directly or at least within a few weeks. There are 3 antioxidants I want to cover more deeply: the melanin, as well as the triterpenoids, betulinic acid and inositol. Melanin is one of the strongest antioxidants and plays an important part within our body. As a pigment, it's not only responsible for the color of, for example, our skin, hair and eyes, but it's also protecting our body against harmful UV rays and therefore reducing the risk of sunburn or skin cancer. Exposed to sunlight, our skin produces melanin naturally, provided that you fill your body with these source materials like the vitamin A, for example found in carrots or sweet potatoes, as well as the mineral copper and the amino acid tyrosine and phenylalanine, all found in high amounts, for example in legumes, nuts and seeds. In addition to the antioxidative properties, melanin stimulates growth of probiotic bifidobacteria, and water-soluble melanin complex of chaga exerts anti-hypoglycemic and beneficial lipid metabolic effects, making it a candidate for a promising anti-diabetic agent. Still, there have been no human trials yet. It is still not totally understood how external infused melanin is metabolized in the human body and which effect it can have on our body. The betulin or betulinic acid is particularly present in the betula or birch tree itself, giving the specific white color to the bark of a birch and acting as a protection against high temperatures, UV radiation and pests like fungi, bacteria or insects. It can be also found in other betulaceae like hazelnut or alnus, just not as dominant. While chaga is decomposing the birch tree, it is also taking in some of its nutrients. The betulin content in chaga can be up to 30%. The betulin is a compound which is scientifically well explored and already used in cosmetic products due to its benefits to our skin, such as accelerating wound healing, reducing inflammation, stimulating cell growth, moisturizing, and enhancing skin regeneration. Alongside to this, it holds antioxidative, inflammatory, carcinogenic, bacterial, viral, even anti-malarial potential, and shows anti-HIV activities as well as protective effects against cadmium-induced cytotoxicity. A little side note here, it's interesting that betulin on the one hand is acting against inflammation, whereas on the other hand, it's the substance which is responsible for the good burning properties of the birch bark. Inonotus, a compound which is named based on its origin from the specific fungus or plant, might give a hint about its importance for its host, and is a sign for the strong presence in the specific fungus or plant. Alongside to the antioxidative, anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, and hepatoprotective effects, Inonotus shows strong anti-allergic and promising anti-carcinogenic properties. So now let's have a short look at the polysaccharides. The polysaccharides are complex carbohydrates like starch, cellulose, or glycogen, whose molecules consist of a number of sugar molecules bonded together. They hold anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, immunomodulatory, wound healing, anti-carcinogenic, antiviral, and anti-fatigue potential, but especially anti-diabetic and probiotic properties, promoting beneficial gut bacteria which may improve digestion and overall health. Remember that the gut is one of the most important human organs, where nutrients are transported throughout our whole body and where a huge part of the immune system is located. Better to keep it healthy and follow a diet accordingly. A certain polysaccharide which is often mentioned in the context of the chaga mushroom is the beta-glucans, which may modulate the immune system, enhancing its response to infections while preventing overactivity. Not only limited to those specific compounds, but rather the entirety of substances within the chaga is responsible for the variety of potential health benefits such as antioxidative, anti-inflammatory, and immunomodulatory, antimicrobial, antimalarial, wound healing, anti-fatigue, anti-diabetic, anti-allergic, hepatoprotective, probiotic, anti-HIV, anti-heavy metal cytotoxicity, and anti-carcinogenic. Keep in mind, the effects described here are mostly based on in vitro or animal studies. All evidence is promising, but human clinical trials are still needed to confirm real effectiveness, safe dosing, and long-term use. Nevertheless, it has been reportedly used for thousands of years by different tribes in order to treat infections, gastrointestinal disorders, cancers, and liver disorders as a treatment for ulcers, gastritis, tuberculosis, and tumors. For the sake of completeness, I also have to mention the possible side effects. Chaga is generally well tolerated, nevertheless it can contain high amounts of oxalic acid. There is a source which is stating that the oxalic acid content might be up to 14%, which is a lot compared to other foods which hold less than 2% like parsley or spinach. With the oxalic acid we have to make a little differentiation. There is saturated oxalic acid which is already combined with a mineral. This one is not problematic at all for us, the body is just passing it through. But the unsaturated oxalic acid, on the contrary, still looks for mineral to react with, usually looking for calcium, but also magnesium or iron. It takes those minerals directly from the food we are consuming, therefore reducing our body's ability to absorb those minerals. In the other case, excessive oxalic acid might also react with minerals from our body and can cause kidney stones. The oxalic acid can be reduced by 5 to 90% through cooking or steaming, but the oxalic acid will transfer into the cooking water. Therefore, preparing a chaga tea will hold a lot of the oxalic acid. Nevertheless, certain gut bacteria might be able to decompose parts of the oxalic acid, and in addition to this, drinking a lot of water and consuming foods rich in minerals and fiber together with the oxalic acid will reduce the risk of kidney stones. Another side effect which is to mention is that chaga may also enhance the effects of blood thinning medications or diabetes drugs, increasing the risk of bleeding or hyperglycemia. In the end, it's probably better not to consume the chaga regularly over long periods and keep the dosage rather low, especially if you find yourself in a risk group. That means people with kidney problems, osteoporosis, or iron deficiency. As so often, we have to make our own experiences and observe. As we can see, the chaga actually is a good example of the complexity of nature. On the one hand, containing substances which are beneficial for example, the kidneys. On the other hand, containing oxalic acid, which can cause kidney stones and might have a negative impact on the kidneys. And in the end, it all comes back to the famous words of Paracelsus: dosage makes the poison. I think that's very true, and therefore that is what I mean by saying that we have to make our own experiences and to observe, to just start with a low dosage and then increase and see what is changing within yourself, not only physically but also mentally. That's why I can't, and that's why I don't want to speak for everyone. I just want to share the knowledge with you, and you have to see what you can do with it. Yeah, you have to make your own experiences. I'm just here to show you the way, or a potential way, if you go the way, and how you design your way. It's up to you. For some people, the plants and fungi I'm presenting here might be beneficial. For other people, it might be not, especially if you have preconditions or if you're in a risk group. So that much as a disclaimer. Unfortunately, the chaga mushroom is rather rare to find in Central Europe. Therefore, I can just show you the specimen I found on my expedition in southern Switzerland. And now we found chaga. That's definitely chaga. You see it. It's blackish on the outer side, and then at the inner side you have those orange stuff. I will just get some of it, and as you can see, there's a spot, there's a spot, there is a spot, there is a spot. I wonder if this thing caused the whole fungi to enter. I don't know, but yeah. Now harvesting time. And I can also show you the favorite host of the chaga mushroom, which is directly behind me, the birch tree. And apart from this, you might also find the chaga on maples, beeches, hornbeams, poplars, or alders. Yeah, and the natural area of distribution is the northern hemisphere, especially the boreal forests in Scandinavia, Russia, and Canada. Chaga is commonly found in cooler climates, extending from the meridian zone in the mountains to the northern hemisphere in subarctic regions, especially boreal forests of Scandinavia, Russia, and Canada. Here we can see a map of the area of distribution. The chaga mushroom is spreading itself via spores through the wind. Okay, now let's have a look at how to determine the chaga mushroom. If you want to find a chaga, first of all, you have to take a closer look at certain trees, especially birch trees. Fortunately, birch trees are easy to spot due to the white bark. The birch is a pioneer plant, consequently one of the first trees to colonize on fallow and disturbed land. It prefers really sunny locations and needs a certain amount of water. Thus, it doesn't like to compete with other plants for those resources. The birch tree is native to Europe and is spreading over the whole continent up to East Asia. In southern Europe, like Italy or Spain, you will rather find it on higher elevations. That much being said to the birch tree, we will deal with the birch tree in a detailed video. Now, let's have a look at the chaga itself. The chaga looks like an ulcer with a scaly surface, like something which doesn't belong to the tree. Because of its deep black appearance, like charcoal, it is easy to spot with the white bark of the birch tree as a contrast. From the inside, the color of the chaga is golden orangish, and if you look closely, you might recognize a light white pattern. The black chunk we usually harvest and call chaga mushroom is actually not a mushroom, but a sclerotium, which is a hard structure consisting of mycelium and acting as a hibernating organ of the fungi. The sclerotium in general is formed by fungi when the circumstances to grow are not optimal, like heat, drought, or deficiency of nutrients, or when trees are fighting back. It remains dormant until favorable growth conditions return, and therefore it is helping the fungi to survive. So how's the life cycle of the chaga mushroom? The spores of the chaga mushroom are transported by the wind in a certain radius of a few kilometers, and as soon as a spore is reaching a vulnerable spot on a tree, which might be, for example, a little damage, a destruction of a tree. For example, as you can see in my video, I suppose that this little thing there, which was attached into the tree, caused probably the whole fungi to enter. Then, if the conditions are favorable and the host tree is kind of weak, the chaga will spread within the whole tree and will, as mentioned earlier, if the conditions are getting worse, it will build the sclerotium as a hibernating organ, and when conditions are turning to the favor of the fungi, it's gonna attack further and further, leading successively to the decay of the tree, which might take like 10, 20, 30 years till the tree is totally dead. The chaga is infecting living trees through wounds. It's a parasitic fungi causing white rot and leading to the gradual decay of the host tree. This can take a little while. Once a tree is dead, the chaga fruit bodies are emerging, and then the whole cycle is starting again. The fruit bodies will spread spores, and probably a new tree will get infected, and so the fungi will live on. A few more words to the harvesting process. Firstly, the chaga sclerotium is pretty hard, as you can see in the video. This means you need some strength to harvest it. You don't want to harvest the whole chunk, but maximum 2/3, so that the chaga is able to recover. I mean, if you want to rescue the birch tree, there might be a little chance for the tree if you remove the whole sclerotium. Secondly, only gather chaga at places where you know that the area is not contaminated. It's not sure how much the chaga and its host is affected by the contamination. Therefore, the chaga in those areas might hold a not that healthy composition of substances. But this is a general advice for harvesting wild herbs and mushrooms. Mistakes which can happen might be that you see other ulcers or tree cancer kind of things on the trees, which of course look from the shape kind of like the chaga, but as I told you, really specifically, the chaga is really charcoal black. And if you go with a little strength against the chaga sclerotium, and if you are able to break off a little piece, then you will see the gold, brown, orangish inside. There's almost nothing, as far as I know, with what you can mistake the chaga mushroom. It's really specific. Harvesting chaga is causing no harm to the birch tree. Rather, it takes energy from the chaga parasite and slows down the decomposition process caused by the chaga, and might even reverse the process, since the birch tree might even get the chance to win the fight over the chaga. For the sustainability of the chaga, it's therefore better to not harvest the whole sclerotium. Not wanting to judge here about which life is more valuable, the life of the chaga or the life of the birch tree. A bigger problem for the chaga is the general deforestation, as well as logging companies which have interest in a healthy tree stock, which is why they might get rid of the chaga infected trees. They see chaga as a parasite, as a threat to timber value, which is of course true, but they might not see the value chaga can provide for the benefit of health. Apart from medicinal usage, the chaga can be used to start a fire and to hold embers. This is really useful in case you want to save resources and in case of carrying a fire to another location. Once the chaga is ignited, it burns pretty slowly and steadily. That being said, it can be really difficult to turn it off again, so be careful. The chaga is most commonly consumed as a tea. For preparing a tea, cut the chaga into small pieces or even grind it to a fine powder. Start with a low dosage of a tablespoon of cutted chaga or a teaspoon of grinded chaga, and increase if you feel like. Heat up the water, but don't let it get too hot. This way you make sure that the substances are extracted in a gentle way. Gently cooking the chaga on the lowest level for at least 30 minutes, afterwards letting it simmer for a little while. The longer you let it simmer, the more precious substances will be extracted. The tea is not a flavor bomb, but the taste is actually pretty soft and pleasant. Enjoy your modern Coke. The already used chaga can be used for a few more sessions, just keep it dry until then. Other ways to make use of the chaga are dietary supplements or tinctures, which can be applied internally or externally. So, we come to the end of this video. If you made it until here, your way has just started. And I think from now on you will have a closer look at birch trees. If you want to watch my expedition in southern Switzerland, where I found not only the chaga mushroom, but another vital fungi, then you have to click this video here. And yeah, nothing more to say. Stay grounded. Don't forget your roots. Stay freaky. Bye bye. See you next time.